In November 2005, Hadhrat paid a visit to Mauritius, which lasted from the 28th of November to the 10th of December. The primary purpose of the visit was to meet the Jamaat members, most of whom were meeting Hadhrat for the first time, and to address the annual convention of the Ahmadiyya community in Mauritius, which was held on the 2nd, 3rd and 4th of December. During the visit, the President of Mauritius, Sir Anirudh Jugnauth, met Hadhrat. This meeting was held at the State House in Port Louis, during which various matters were discussed. The Vice President of Mauritius, Mr. Raouf Pundung, also met Hadhrat in a separate meeting held at the Vice President House in Sognac. Throughout the visit, the national media gave prominent coverage of Hadhrat's activities in Mauritius. On the 11th of December 2005, Hadhrat embarked upon a most epochal and historic tour of India, which was spiritually uplifting for the entire Jamaat. It was a very historic tour in a lot of ways. The year 2005 is very significant in the history of the movement, as it marks the completion of 100 years to the initiation of the Wasiat scheme, and according to the lunar calendar, the 100 years of the institution of Khilafat-e-Ahmadiyya were also completed during this year. It was therefore befitting for a convention to be held on the soil of Qadian, the town where Khilafat-e-Ahmadiyya started. With Hadhrat's arrival, Qadian was once again blessed with the presence of a Khalifa. Thousands of Ahmadis from around the world converged upon the hamlet of Qadian, and a tide of humanity greeted Hadhrat. It was the first time in the history of the Jamaat that live transmissions of Hadhrat's sermons, addresses and other activities from Qadian were shown across the globe on MTA International. The voice that was raised from Qadian over 100 years ago was once again raised from Qadian with new splendor and magnitude and reached the ends of the earth. The faith-inspiring annual convention of Qadian was held on the 26th, 27th and 28th of December, which was attended by over 70,000 people. Special intercity trains were run by the authorities to facilitate the smooth arrival of guests. During the visit, many eminent personalities, including heads of other religious communities, ministers, parliamentarians and scholars, had audience with Hadhrat and attended the convention. Hadhrat also led the Eid al-Adha prayers in Qadian. It was the first time after the partition of India in 1947 that a Khalifa led the Eid service in Qadian. This history-making and spiritually exhilarating tour ended on the 17th of January 2006, when Hadhrat returned to London. For 4 weeks in 2006, from the 4th of April to the 15th of May, Hadhrat visited the Far Eastern countries of Singapore, Australia, Fiji, New Zealand and Japan. For the first time ever from the soils of each of these countries, a Khalifa's addresses and sermons were transmitted live across the globe on MTA International. In Singapore, Hadhrat delivered a historic Friday sermon, which was attended by a number of Ahmadis from the neighboring countries of Indonesia, Malaysia, Thailand, Cambodia, the Philippines, Papua New Guinea and Brunei.
इस मौके से फ़ायदा उठाते हुए मैं अपने इंडोनेशियन बहन भाइयों से कहता हूं कि अपनी कौम के अहमदियों को तसल्ली दें कि सब्र करें और सब्र का दामन कभी हाथ से न छोड़ें। बस उससे मदद मांगें, इंशाअल्लाह वो कभी आपको ज़ाया नहीं करेगा, कभी ज़ाया नहीं करेगा, कभी ज़ाया नहीं करेगा।
Oleh karena itu terus menerus berdoa kepadanya. Dia tidak akan pernah menyanyiakan kalian. Tidak akan pernah menyanyiakan kalian dan tidak akan pernah menyanyiakan kalian.
In Australia, the focal point of Hadhrat's visit was his attendance and addresses to the annual convention on the 15th, 16th and 17th of April. Hadhrat also graced a reception given in his honour in Canberra on the 19th of April, which was attended by a large number of diplomats, members of parliament and other important personalities. In Sydney, Hadhrat laid the foundation stone of the Khilafat Centenary Hall. Hadhrat arrived in Fiji on the 25th of April. He was welcomed by various government officials at the airport, where he also addressed a press conference.
Please contact counter number 21 for your message. Passenger leave.
Later, he went to the President House to meet the Vice President of Fiji, the Honourable Ratu Joni Madrawiwi, who was also the acting president of the country at the time.
Something for you to have on in your library.
There's a token gift for you also.
Thank you very much.
The 2-day annual convention of the Fijian community was also planned to coincide with Hadhrat's visit on the 28th and 29th of April. The gathering was addressed on both days by Hadhrat. While in Fiji, Hadhrat also paid a visit to the historic Dateline in Taverny, which is considered as a corner of the earth. A reception was also given in Hadhrat's honour, which was attended by a large number of politicians, including the acting president, the Honourable Ratu Joni Madrawiwi, diplomats, eminent Fijian scholars, religious leaders, businessmen and other distinguished persons.